Grip socks are great, but why pay up to $40 for a single pair when you can pay a lot less? Stop wasting money and get yours for just $14.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
While the focus of the videos on this channel tend to be around football boots with studs on the bottom, some people do require an indoor or turf bottom. And for those people, I have something really interesting for you in the form of the brand new Adidas X Speedflow.1 that I have here in the turf variation, although they do also make it with an indoor bottom. And unlike the regular FG Speedflow.1, which retails for $250, these are only going to run you $120. Which is interesting because this features the top-end Speedflow.1 upper at effectively less than half the price. And of course, there are some differences with the overall construction, and the variable of the midsole and turf outsole does change the overall feel of the boot, but for less than half the amount it would cost you for the FG version, you can get a lot of the same experience. So with that in mind, I want to go over all the details in today's video, including how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you are interested in a pair for yourself, you can check out the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $120 retail price in either the turf or indoor variants. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and perhaps want to see more reviews of indoor and turf boots on the channel, please don't forget to support this one with a like. Also, guys, we just recently passed 700,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. But I want to continue to grow this community, maybe with a target of 750,000 by the end of the year. So for those of you guys that watch the content but aren't already subscribed, your support is very much appreciated, and it'd be great if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So first things first, the upper, which is definitely the highlight of the indoor or turf Speedflow.1 in that it's exactly the upper you would get on the normal Speedflow.1, which we don't often see on indoor or turf models. Usually it's some kind of dumbed down variation rebranded as a top-end model, or they do give us the same upper but then charge a premium on the retail price. But these at $120 are actually pretty reasonable, especially considering how much the regular Speedflow.1 costs. So you get this textile-based synthetic material with, of course, the speed cage on the inside, or sorry, is it agility cage? My bad, it's the agility cage. Puma is the one with the speed cage now, even though they're all effectively the exact same thing. An internal lining material that is broken up into a cage type shape that reinforces what is ultimately a very thin and basically translucent upper that has really nice flexibility to it. Technically it's textile based, but it ends up feeling like a very raw synthetic that's remarkably pliable. So there's no real softness to this. There's certainly no padding to it, and getting stepped on is not such a concern when you're talking about a turf boot or an indoor boot, because I'm assuming other people are going to be wearing the same type of footwear, so you're not going to have studs digging into your feet should you get stepped on. But in general, if you're looking for that very thin, raw barefoot sensation, you are getting really one of the best options out there at the $120 price tag, which I think is pretty impressive. Of course, running across the top of the foot, a little bit more central, maybe slightly off-centered than what we saw on the previous generation of X. You're going to find a prime knit material, kind of creating this one-piece enclosure with a dual lace hole setup, allowing for really good adjustability and lockdown. They do not offer a laceless variant as an indoor or turf model as of yet. That might change in the future, but I think that's probably unlikely. This will probably just be the top end option for the X line for this Speedflow generation. Nonetheless, it does a really good job, but still has this little extension piece that does annoyingly fold over on you as you wear the boots. Doesn't really affect performance, but visually it's not the most pleasing thing in the world. And then we get to the heel, which I will admit is a little bit of a letdown, because as you can see, it's not the same construction as the FG Speedflow.1. Instead, it's more of a takedown model construction in terms of what we've seen from some of the cheaper options within the Speedflow lineup. However, it's not as bad as some of those takedown options in that it doesn't feel overly shallow. Is it shallower than average? Yes, but the amount of padding, they seem to have got it just right. And in general, the shaping seems to be pretty good. So from a comfort perspective and a lockdown perspective, when the laces are tied tight, I really didn't have any issues with this. So it's not as good as the regular FG model, but it does get a pass overall, so I can't be too mad at it. And the heel liner, for those that are wondering, is this really soft synthetic suede material, which feels quite nice. But then again, kind of typical of Adidas, cheaping out on, I guess, minor things, but things that probably should be a little bit more premium if this is to be the top end option for their indoor and turf lineup. The insole, it's fully glued in. It's relatively cheap in terms of not being 3D molded. It's just a flat piece of foam that they've cut to shape and then glued in place. Mesh liner on top, a single layer of foam. It gets the job done, but again, something more premium I think would be expected on a boot that is supposed to be top end. Which brings us to the midsole and outsole, which is a carryover design from the previous generation of X boots, where you can see it still features a light strike foam midsole that is a little bit thicker through the heel and midfoot and then tapers down quite significantly as you get through the forefoot, where there's almost no padding here, but plenty of padding under the heel. Not a huge deal and pretty common for a lot of turf boots, because if you're wearing these on artificial grass, the type of turf that's more of like a rough carpet that may or may not have the rubber pellets, or even if you want to wear this on a deeper artificial grass field, there's going to be some padding to that surface anyway, so you don't necessarily need a ton of underfoot cushioning. Nonetheless, this does feel like the heel is significantly higher than what you'll find in the forefoot, which you may or may not like, just something to be aware of. And then as far as the outsole is concerned, you can see it's kind of like a split sole construction in that you have a plate with studs in the forefoot and then a plate with studs on the heel. And it's just kind of the typical turf nubs. It has a little bit of like a specific shape to it, but in general, turf nubs all feel the same in my opinion. So if you've worn a pair of turf boots with nubs like this in the past, this is going to ultimately feel and perform, at least from a traction standpoint, pretty well the same as anything else, which is fine. It gets the job done. And like I mentioned earlier, they do also make this in an indoor variant. So if you are playing on a hard indoor court or even on the street or something like that, the option with the flat surface is probably the one you want. It is also really nice that you have this tall rubber lip going all the way through the forefoot and toe box area, which for long-term durability is probably a good thing. Which brings us to the weight, which may or may not be disappointing depending on what you were hoping for. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the Speedflow.1 turf weighs in at 10.2 ounces, the equivalent of 289 grams, which if we're comparing this to the FG version of the Speedflow.1 in the same size, these are quite a bit heavier and in general don't really have a super lightweight feel to them. Reason being is, of course, the midsole and the thick rubber outsole. A significant amount of rubber at that just adds a significant amount of weight to the boots overall. This is pretty common for most turf shoes, so I'm not really faulting Adidas here, especially considering the $120 price point. But as a top-end indoor model, I think most people would expect them to be a little bit lighter than they are. So here they are on feet, where everything honestly feels really good. I love the fact that it's the normal Speedflow.1 upper that feels pretty well the same as the FG model in terms of how it wraps your foot, as well as just the general feel and flexibility of this upper. But the heel is a little bit of a letdown with its shallower fit. It's not as bad as some Adidas takedown models that I've tried from the new Speedflow lineup, but it could definitely be a little bit better. Nonetheless, you can actually solve any kind of minor slippage issues by utilizing some grip socks. I'm currently wearing these with Pure Grip Socks Pro in white, which for those that don't know is my own brand of grip socks. This new Pro variation features an upgraded material that is super soft, super stretchy, and of course features the grips along the bottom of the foot and the back of the heel to reduce any kind of extra slippage. They're available now in a wide variety of colors for just $16.99 a pair. So if you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to visit is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. As for the feel of the midsole midsole and outsole underneath your feet. There's definitely more cushion through the heel, and it feels like your heel in general sits a little bit higher because of the layout of the foam. And then of course, unlike the regular FG Speedflow.1, this does not have the Carbitex insert in the forefoot, which means that in general, this just has a much more flexible, natural feel in terms of how it moves with your foot, which again is not unlike pretty much every other turf or indoor shoe out there. So no major complaints on my part from that perspective. As far as fit is concerned, they have the same general shape as the Speedflow.1 aside from the depth of the heel. So in general, they fit snug with the laces tied tight, but they definitely have decent width to them to the point where they're going to fit most people, even if you do have slightly wider feet. So in general, most people shouldn't have too many issues fitting into these. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I think the indoor Speedflow.1 offers some serious value for money. The fact that you're getting the same upper as what's found on the $250 FG Speedflow.1 is really impressive. The outsole and midsole as a whole feels really good and performs the part. And while there is room for improvement with the construction of the heel as well as the overall weight of the boots, for the money, and especially considering it wasn't that long ago where Nike and Adidas were charging between $150 and $185 for their top-end indoor speed boots, for $120, this is one of the better ones that we've ever seen, or at least have seen over the last 5 years or so. And I think especially if you're already playing in a regular Speedflow.1 and you want something that feels almost identical for indoor or turf play, for the money they're asking, I don't see why you wouldn't pick these. This is the best indoor speed boot that I've tried this year. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, first link down below. You'll be able to pick them up below their normal retail price, of course. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave those down below in the comment section as well. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.